Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at the SEMA G20 fixed blade knife and see if it can stack up to the rest of the affordable quality knives I've found in the past. Hey everybody, welcome back. So, all is going well here, and I wanted to bring you this knife today. This is the SEMA G20 fixed blade knife. It is a really nice looking knife. Nice doesn't matter if it can't perform, but we're going to check that out. I want to show you around there. You see you got your brass liners inside there, G10 scales. The jimping is actually perfect. It's just enough to be stiff for your fingers, but not enough to rip your fingers up. Nice pins. It's a nicely orchestrated and put together knife. This is an AUS-8 steel knife. And the reason that I wanted to take a look at this knife is because I have the other SEMA survival knife. I don't know what they call it exactly. You guys remember me reviewing this a while back. And this has actually done a lot of work in the channel and a lot of work just outside chopping up stuff. And it's held up very, very well. So it seems they got their quality game down somewhat. I know there's videos of people slamming these into cardboard, into bricks and breaking them. I think Dutch Bushcraft Knives did a video where they were like slamming this into walls and breaking tips, and I mean it's not a $400 knife, it's a $20 knife. So don't buy it with the expectation that you're going to be buying a $400 custom knife, and the same goes with that. But I understand that a lot of people may want to get started with something and not have a ton of money to start out with. And what's better, that you screw up a $20 knife you bought to practice and learn skills with, or that you screw up a really high dollar knife? So that's why I like to focus on these. And if they turn out to be good, hey, an added bonus. So let me give you some information on it. Overall blade length is 8.26 inches. I'm sorry, overall length. The blade length is 3.86 inches. Handle length 4.41. As I told you, the blade steel is AUS-8. Good kind of compromise steel. It doesn't hold an edge forever, but it's easy to put an edge back on. It's a drop point with a full flat grind. The material on here is G10 on the scales. As I showed you before, you got that nice brass liners in there. I mean, it's a beautiful looking knife. I just want to make sure it can actually perform. And I could see this being a good camp knife, a good kind of all-around camp chore type knife. Would it be a good survival knife? Well, I don't know. We have to try it out and test it out a lot longer than what I'm going to do today. But I could see it working well. The neat thing about this is it does have its own ferro rod. Now, the ferro rod is a tiny little thing, but it does work well. But the way they put it in, I kind of think, I'm not too keen on it. I'll show you here. You have to untie this to get at it. I would consider this an emergency ferro rod. I wouldn't use this for every fire I'm starting. So let's pull that out, and I'll show you. There's the ferro rod. Now it looks insanely tiny, but this thing puts off sparks. I'll tell you, at least they got the composition of the metal correct. It's tiny, but that's why I said it'd be an awesome kind of emergency type ferro rod. And you bring your main one for whatever you're going to do. But we will test that out too. And it slides right back in the back there. But as you can tell, it would just fall out without that. So I think they probably could have done a better job securing it. Maybe some kind of little latch or something on the bottom there. Having to pull a paracord in and out every time probably would get annoying after a while. That's why it's a good emergency ferro rod. You always have one on you no matter what. So we're going to give this a test and see how well it does some common stuff. I'm not going crazy with it, but we're going to go out and test it out. And I really do, I tell you, I've been playing with it a little bit, and I have a piece of fat wood over here. Let me go grab it. And I was just messing around trying to make some feather sticks with it. And it does seem to be pretty adequate. I mean, those are tiny ones, but you get the idea. So it does seem to do its job. I do like the flat grind on it. It makes it easy to do that kind of stuff. And we'll see how well it works with batoning and how well the hardness stands up. And we'll test the tip out and everything. So far, I'm liking it, but that's just playing around with it in here. It did come incredibly, incredibly sharp. I mean, shaving sharp. I don't know if you can catch it on camera. You never really can. At least not in here. But it's taken hair off. So it is ridiculously sharp, and I haven't messed with it yet. I haven't touched it up or anything. So I'm going to put that lanyard back in there, and I guess you could make a lanyard out of it and just leave it in there. But that's another weak point of this is the sheath. Now, it's a nice looking sheath if you're into basic, simple, again, you don't need fancy sheaths to do the job. It does have the little dangler hook on it there, so you can dangle it and you can wrap it on your leg with the paracord, or you can just wear it on your belt. It's got an extra pocket. You could probably put a sharpening stone in there, maybe a decent sized ferro rod, whatever. But here's where my problem with this comes into play. I'm going to take out the ferro rod for this because I don't want to lose it. And we'll put this in here now. You would think putting it in here, closing it up, snapping it in place, you'd think that'd be good, right? But here's the problem. There is zero retention with this. Is it the end of the world? Heck no. There are tons of places that have old leather sheaths you can buy. You can make your own Kydex sheath. I'll probably get a leather sheath for this just because it'll fit in with the look of it. But yeah, the sheath is not really worth it. Anyway, let's get it outside. Let's chop up some wood with it, try to start a fire with it, and see how we like it. All right, I got some old wood that was sitting out here. We're going to chop this stuff up, and we're going to try and start a fire in my hobo stove here. And instead of listening to me chop wood, let's play some music. Tip and everything is okay. Blade is still super sharp, but I didn't really do much to it. But it does seem to be a good performer. I took one of these Fatwood sticks from Black and White Firestarter, put it on top of a little bit of a dryer lint, and we're going to try out the little ferro rod. Now it is small, so be careful. Don't hurt yourself. But as an emergency ferro rod, I don't really have a problem with it. See, it throws sparks fairly well. I almost lit that. I'm probably going to put it down in there. Yeah, there you go. Couple of strikes and it's up and going. So let's toss that in there. As you can see, definitely works for a fire starting knife. So all in all, so far, just playing around with it and testing it out, I'm pretty pleased with it. Seems to do what it's supposed to do. And I mean, like I said, for a beginner, for somebody who wants to learn some knife technique and doesn't want to spend a ton of money, maybe doesn't have a ton of money. I know that some people, want to go outside and enjoy the outdoors, maybe have an allowance, and that's all they can afford is $20, So it's definitely a good deal so far, from what I'm seeing. Seems to work as promised. So I'm going to let this burn out, and we're going to go inside, and I'll give you my final thoughts on the knife. All right, so we're back inside, and you saw I was actually shocked at how easily that ferro rod lit that stuff up. I was going to give it a few strikes to show you sparks and then put it down into the bundle there and light it up, but it just lit it up from about an inch away. Something I did want to mention about, this is a common complaint I've seen about this knife in reviews online. There is a spot on here, on the back, after the jimping. You see that spot there? And if you get the black one, they have a black oxide one. It's down a little bit lower, kind of indented a little bit, and it's been ground. And it looks like a bad machining mark or a mistake. The reason for that is that gives you a nice 90-degree surface to strike your ferro rod. It is very sharp on the sides. But in reality, it's pretty sharp even without that. But that's the area that you'll see. People will be like, oh, I got a defective one. It's like, no, that's the point of it. So anyway, that's the knife after I abused the heck out of it. The little bit that I abused. I really didn't abuse it. But it seems to do common camp tasks very, very well. If you're just looking for a knife that you're going to use maybe once or twice a year, going camping, whatever, I wouldn't worry about this at all. If you're looking for a knife that might be good for a survival or bug out bag, well, if this is all you can afford, it's better than nothing. There are better options out there, but it's not a bad knife, honestly. You have to give it more testing. You'll probably see me use it more in the channel and videos. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. And, as far as cleaning it up, I usually just use a little WD-40 and a little, I'll spray it on a rag and wipe it off. So it cleans up easy. And the most I do to this is run it over my work sharp strop a little bit and put it away. And, for the little bit that I used it out there, it's ready to go again. And it's still super sharp. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the shaving, but it is still shaving hair. Still doing it. So it's still super sharp. And I mean, for a blade that, it's Aussate steel, it's not some super steel, but for a blade that just did a bunch of wood cutting up there, for it still to be shaving sharp, that's pretty impressive. So I'm pleased with it so far. Again, it's going to require a lot more testing than what I did out there, but for $20, you can't really go wrong, even if you have it as a backup. So I'm going to give you some pros and cons. First off, excellent cost to quality ratio. For $20, you're getting a very nice looking and obviously pretty decent performing knife. Did what it was supposed to do, The removable ferro rod in the handle is a nice touch. I wish they would have made the rod maybe a little bit bigger. I mean, just ever so a little bit thicker. It doesn't have to be a big honking ferro rod that makes this thicker, but maybe just a little thicker. But it does work very, very well, as you saw. I wasn't even trying. I was trying to demo the sparks coming off it, and it hit the thing and took it up, lit it up. It's got a very practical handle design. For a knife that does have a ferro rod in it, the handle is very, very comfortable. I like this little scalloped out area here. It seems to fit my hand very well. And I have fairly big hands, so, all in all, fits right in there. Now the cons. As I mentioned before, I'll show you it again. The knife will literally fall out of the sheath. I think the sheath is kind of an afterthought. I think this is kind of a good outdoorsy, bushcrafty type knife, and the sheath was an afterthought. That's not cool. So I will be getting a better sheath for it. But for $20, you're really worried about the knife you're getting. Sheath, who cares? You can always get another sheath. You can buy $20 worth of Kydex stuff, make yourself one with a hairdryer and a rivet gun. I mean, it's really, really simple. Probably what I'm going to do is take this up to my local store here. For those of you that live locally, it's the Outpost. I'm going to take it up there. I'm going to check his used sheath box. He has a big box of leather sheaths, and I'm sure I'll find something that'll fit in there perfectly. I've done it a couple times before. So the sheath is kind of garbage. It is made in China. I know some people will be turned off by that. I get it, you know. There are plenty of good American knives on the market. This is just something that if you're really, down on a budget, you don't have a lot of extra money to spend, you might have a bunch of kids, or even one child these days. You may not have a bunch of money to spend on, gear for survival or going out in the woods. There you go, $20, you got it, I think it's officially 1990, but still. And while performing very well, the magnesium fire rod's really, really small. So I'm afraid of it breaking. It's almost the size of one of those Magbar ferro rod things. But again, if you're going to use it only for emergency, and you realize that, and you don't worry about it, I'd say fine, no problem. One of the things I want to caution you about too, is if you're just going to take it out and say, I don't need that, and throw it out and not worry about it, you see these little brass edges here? Round those off. They're very sharp without the ferro rod in it. And while you're cutting it, it can give you a serious hot spot on the back of your hand. So if you're going to just toss the ferro rod and not care about it, just round off those little brass edges. They're the inserts to either side of the knife. So all in all, that's the review of it. That is the Syma G20 fixed blade knife. I will put a link down below where you can check it out at Amazon. It'll also be in my store, so you can check out the store. Don't forget to check out our store. It's going to be the link under this one, and if you just click that, pretty much everything I review I try to put in my Amazon store. I will let you know if you can buy it somewhere else cheaper. As far as this knife goes, Amazon was the cheapest I found. I don't really ship a lot from a lot of the other Chinese importers and stuff because they take so long to get here. Amazon, at least it's already in the States. Most of the stuff is already in the States. And don't forget to check out our Thrive Life link down below if you're interested in getting started with some freeze-dried food. Thrive offers you a lot of options. There's nothing to sign up for. I had somebody call me the other day about that, and you don't have to sign up to order from me. You can just go on that site and order freeze-dried food. If you sign up, there's perks, there's benefits. You can also resell, but you don't have to. I'm very pleased with their food. I really like it, so check it out. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching today. Stay safe and stay prepared.